Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the interweb. So today is something a little bit different. I have done many reviews in the past, but never a proper review. So today is that first proper review. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, unless you've lived under a rock, there is no way that you have not heard about Spider-Man PS4. In many ways, Spider-Man PS4 was the very first must-play game of this generation as far as PlayStation exclusives go. Yes, there was God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, but those were easily dismissible as they were not for everybody, but Spider-Man PS4 was for everybody. Spider-Man PS4 has had action figures, so many action figures, merchandise. It was even featured briefly due to a suit cameo in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's even had novelizations, prequel novelizations. But after Sony is Sony and, Marvel still owns all the rights to Spider-Man outside of film, they have decided to continue the story of Spider-Man PS4 via comics. Spider-Man Velocity released about 2 weeks ago. This is the first collection of the entire 6-issue run of Spider-Man Velocity, which is the very, and every word of it, direct sequel to Spider-Man PS4. It picks off about a week or so after Spider-Man PS4 ends. It introduces new heroes, new stories, new dynamics, and new everything really that you would want in a Spider-Man story. But is it something that you, maybe as a comic book fan, or maybe as just a fan of the Spider-Man PS4 game, should read? Spider-Man PS4 ended with a bang and left many cliffhangers, and Spider-Man Velocity continues with the same excitement and allure of the video game. The comic is written by Dennis Hallam with artist Emilio Lizio and other various creators such as Rochelle Rosenberg, Travis Lanham, and Sean. This trade paperback collects the entire 5-issue run, as well as art pages showing the various covers and variants of the run. This story tells the origins of the video game's Velocity suit and how it came to be, which is still kind of odd, judging that he has the suit before he canonally has the suit. But hey, it's just a video game, right? This plot hole isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it still is kind of odd seeing him have it in the video game before he has it in the comic. The art of the comic reminds me of a cleaner, more realistic video game art style, which is different than we're used to, with the current batch of Marvel artists who tend to keep the same overall look throughout the different novels. The line work is fantastic, and I love when artists think outside of the box and do a more manga style line work. I think it creates a more realistic and immersive look in comics. Now before we get to praising and talking about what I enjoyed, there are some things that stands out that kind of bothered me, and one of them is inconsistency within the art, such as this panel where Mary Jane completely changes wardrobe from one panel to the next, even if it's just changing which hand her jewelry is on and removal of the scarf. I understand this is common in comics, especially in Rob Liefeld's work, who literally everybody wants to be like, but I feel like at this point, artists should try to stick with consistency, at least when it's in the same scene. They put the jacket draping the chair. You could have put the scarf somewhere within the scene to make us know that, hey, she just took it off instead of just making it magically vanish. I hate when comics do that, but it's not a big deal. You don't really notice it when you're reading through it. I didn't notice it until I was looking through it again for this review, so it's not like it's a big... The story is really good, but at times it feels as if it's rushed, such as the beginning battle scene, which I'll discuss in a second. It just feels rushed and as if it was just there as an opener, because it literally means nothing the entire run. It's never mentioned again, nor does it have a conclusion, and I feel like they could have done more with that arch and made this a 6-issue run instead of 5, just so we could see a conclusion with the initial enemy. Look at the video game. We had the Kingpin in the very beginning, and then he stayed as a concurrent character all the way to the end. This isn't really a complaint, but just a warning. If you've not played the video game, it goes without saying that this isn't for you, because you'll be rather lost. So this is aimed at fans who played the game or read the script from the new script book, so keep that in mind. Now it's time for what makes this comic click and what I think about it. I won't be spoiling anything past the first issue, but the run opens up with Spider-Man fighting the Hive of the Mighty Storm and leads up to introduction of the new antagonist by showing an interesting onslaught of attacks by an invisible entity, which by the end of the first issue is revealed to be a girl, but who that girl is and what she actually is all about will shock you and surprise you as you read through the run. This run blends storytelling with cinematic positioning, meaning the panels come together and the cool angles and vibrant colors give it an almost video game-like feel as you progress through the story and learn more about Peter Parker and his complex relationship with Mary Jane and just dealing with this threat in general. It gives us a side of Peter that we didn't see in the video game, and for all purposes it adds some depth to the character and makes him a little bit more relatable than he already was. And the video game, I felt like the relationship didn't mean much between Peter and his friends until Miles shows up, but in this run you see a deeper, more human connection between Peter and the people around him, and same with Miles. Miles, after getting his power, begins to bug Peter for lessons about being Spider-Man in the DLC of the game, and throughout this run you see Miles bugging him more and more, and I think that's a wholesome little thing they added. It's quite likable if you played the game, and I like that it doesn't explore that too much, so we can see it unfold in either a standalone comic all about Miles becoming the Spider-Man or a second game later on in the future for PlayStation 5. You also get to see the dynamic of the public's opinion on Spider-Man and how he works with the citizens as well as his everyday normal human stuff, which is a different Spider-Man than we're used to in the Gameverse, as even in the prequel novel it was straight action. You never really got to see Spider-Man the man, just Spider-Man the vigilante in a mask, which actually is how most Spider-Man comics after Ultimate Spider-Man usually go. It's just run and gun with some R&D on suits and gadgets, but not a whole lot of Peter's life is shown usually, so it's a nice change of pace from what we're used to in most modern Spider-Man books. In conclusion, I apologize if this review is sloppy jalopy as I'm not really used to doing proper reviews, but I promise to get better over time. I think if you're a fan of the video game, you should read this for sure, and I feel like it's probably one of the better Gameverse stories from the aspects of both art and storytelling. It's definitely a fun ride from beginning to end. You can get this trade paperback pretty much anywhere, but I would suggest Amazon, as Amazon is a way faster at shipping and your book will be protected, and if something happens to it, you will get a replacement, where pretty much everywhere else doesn't do that. And I'm not having an affiliate link or anything, but I will have a link to buy this down below. I'm not an Amazon affiliate, so this isn't going to benefit me in any way. It's just to make it easier if this review has made you decide to buy the comic. There you have it. I do think Spider-Man Velocity is a must-read for any comic book fan. Do you want to see it more? Do you want to read it? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and try not to die.